The GSL qualifiers were a couple of days ago, and they were not streamed, but they were updated on Liquipedia, so be careful. There are spoilers on Liquipedia, so be careful with that command. You can, of course, have a look at it yourself, but we do refrain you from posting spoilers in the chat, otherwise you'll be timed out. So be wary of that. But here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alcyone. We have our red Zerg player representing himself, currently teamless. It is DRG. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the South Green Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Twisted Minds. Just got knocked down by Maru, but he is here to fight back. He is here to qualify for GSL. It is Classic. Here we go. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know how DRG got knocked down to the lower bracket. I haven't looked at the bracket myself because I've been avoiding spoilers myself because, you know, I'm casting and I don't want to come in like preemptively knowing what occurred. So I haven't looked at the bracket yet, but I will be diving into the bracket once we cast all the matches. Then we can just on stream together have a look at the Wikipedia page and go over all the matches and who made it and who didn't make it into GSL. We'll get there. We will get there. Meanwhile, Probe Scout going to be coming in, getting an eye on the Hatch Gas pool opener here of DRG. Standard opener from our Zerg player. Likewise, our Protoss going for a gate expand. Nothing too fancy in the early game. And we are loading into Alcyone. To wind it back, once again, this map is more macro-oriented. You can secure yourself on 3 and even 4 bases quite easily on this map, so we do see longer games. We've seen more often than not these longer late game scenarios, 20-30 minute split map scenario matches here, which is where we could be headed between these two players. We'll see if either one tries to end the game earlier than that. We do set up our pylon, waiting for the Cybercore here before we commit to our tech of choice. I imagine Classic going to be opening up with the Stargate. Now, when it comes to Classic's playstyle here in this matchup, it is going to be the Stargate opener. But Classic is very fond, more so than Hero, more so than Nightmare. Classic is very fond of opening up Void Ray or Phoenix to shut down the Overlord and to keep the Zerg player in the dark as to what Classic is up to. More often than not, he will open up either Void Ray or Phoenix, more often than opening up Oracle. I'm curious if that continues to be the trend. That was the case leading up to IEM, that was the case in the qualifiers for IEM Katowice as well, but in the aftermath, I'm curious if Classic has adjusted his playstyle. As DRG is getting into his third base, third hatchery being thrown down, Classic does get eyes on it, being active here with his Adept. Chain towards the main, and it is going to be the Oracle first. Okay, I'm ready for it. I'm here for it, Classic. Again, this is something that we've noticed a trend of Classic deviating away. In the lead up to IEM Katowice, again, it was just non-stop Void Ray openers, non-stop Phoenix openers. But I'm happy to see Classic now embracing a much more standard game here. This should be Oracle into a second Oracle, into a third base, into triple Oracle, into a standard game. We'll keep an eye on Classic. There is that second Oracle. And so far, no one has really deviated. No one has really strayed away from the norm. We do have our Evo Chamber. This should be for +1 melee for DRG, for Lingbane Road Ravager. Overlord is going to be shut down. But again, DRG is at least aware of the Stargate and of the Oracle, as it did provide high ground vision. Third base is being taken, and Classic is moving out. It's going to be on DRG to minimize his losses. In the main base, we have a Spore on the way. We do have two queens, a queen here at the natural. We do have queens set up here at the third. The main is looking a little bit more exposed, but it looks like the Spore will finish up just in time, and the queen will pop out as well. The DRG is in position. Classic not able to find any drones. Rotates over towards the third base, but again, Queen's also lying in wait. We get 2 drones in total. I'd have to say 2 shade in. But so far, good defense from DRG. As we did mention, there's that plus on melee in production. Baneliness being thrown down instead of a Roach Horn. Interesting. So I assumed that DRG would be going into Roach Ravager, but with that Baneliness, DRG, he may go Ling Bane into Hydra. Could even go Mutas. We have options. We have a lot of options available here for DRG. It is not set in stone. Adepts do not commit to the Shade. Oracles, they threaten to dive towards that natural. Queens are getting in position. And behind this, it's going to be +1 and a Blink on the way with the Gateway Explosion. We're getting up to 6 gateways here on 3 bases. Ooh, that's going to be a cancel on the 4th. As the 4th gets cancelled, we do see DRG going for a big counterattack. The Stalker is under fire, and it's going to be going down. Good pick off here from DRG. Gets a Stalker. Should back off from here. Ooh, as we try to commit. Once again, 4th base is delayed, as the Oracles do focus on that drone. DRG does bleed out a couple too many Lings, and we're going for a bust. Oh my god. I was not expecting this, but the 4th base, after being denied for the 2nd time, soon to be denied for the 3rd time, we're done. We don't care anymore. The Queens are waddling across the map. The Oracles are busy. They're distracted by the drones, and we're going for a massive Ling Bane bust here at the 3rd base. We're going to surround here on the army. We waddle into the mineral line. Probes are going down. And Classic, his pants are down, woefully underprepared here for the Ling Bane. And the 3rd base is being broken. The Queens! They do come across those Oracles. Stalkers are on the way, but there's no shield battery. There's no shield battery. There's no overcharge. Yeah, he knows that he cannot defend this 3rd. It's not going to happen. He's going to try it. But the Lings, they get us around. They shut down the Stalkers. They force a recall. Only 3 Stalkers survive. And the 4th base will fall. Meanwhile, the walls on the wall. The Lings, they get in, they bust into the natural, they bust into the main base. Probes are going down left and right, and DRG from here, he can go back home. He can drone. We have a lair on the way. Gases are being taken. DRG is droning. The damage has been done. 26. Oh no! 26 worker kills, and we're not done. It's not over. We get in once again. Classic doing his best hero impression. Not like this. Not like hero. We get us around, we shut down the Stalkers, GG gets called, and DRG takes game number 1. Ay. GG, well played. Not the game that I was expecting, and I'll be honest, I don't think DRG was expecting that game either. His Baneliness was at the 4-minute mark. It wasn't insanely early or anything like that. Like, he was trying to take a 4th. I'm pretty sure DRG, his Bane bust, his Queen walk across the map was more of a reaction than anything because of that, because of the Oracles denying the 4th base over and over again. He just said, screw it, I'm just going to send it across the map. And because Classic was hyperfixated on denying that 4th base, the Oracles did not see the move out. They did not see the army, and Classic was not prepared for it. He was caught out, he was surrounded, he was shut down, and GG. DRG takes game 1. Does take a lead in this series, and now DRG is 1 game away from qualifying for our first season of GSL for the year of 2024. Una mas, papi, is all he needs. Catching up the chat, I see Legoland M. How does one get a hold of replays? !GSL. !GSL in the chat. If you want to support the GSL, if you want to gain access to the replays yourself, then you can do so via the GSL Patreon. So you can head on over to their Patreon, support the Korean scene, and you don't just gain replay packs, I believe you also gain behind-the-scene photo shoots. There are photo shoots that I had. There's behind-the-scene interviews as well. GSL, they do provide a bit of content for you if you are interested in that sort of thing. So do check it out if you are interested. Otherwise, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner. In the bottom right-hand corner, we have it. The South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg. It is leading the series 1-0. 1 game away from qualifying for GSL. It is DRG. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Twisted Minds. He needs to fight back here and now to force the ace match. It is Classic. we go. When in doubt, run it down mid. Feels dank, man. True, Papi, true. Just send it, Papi, send it. Aye. As DRG is going to be opening up hatch gas pool this time, forced to take the unnatural natural, so more of an uncomfortable start here for DRG. As Classic is going to confirm that. Meanwhile, back at home, Classic going for a gate expand. Going for a standard setup as well. The early game is looking normal for the time being. We'll keep an eye on the tech of choice here of our players. Classic should be going for another Stargate opener, but what comes after the Stargate, that is the real question. It's going to be the real question here as we are setting up against Side Delta. Is more of a unique map in the map pool, does have a ramp leading into the natural. As a result, this is a much more defendable natural base, more so than many of the other maps in the map pool. So Classic should be feeling a little bit safer here in the early game. Link speed is being researched. DRG going to be pulling out of gas, so we're not rushing into a fast lair. We're not rushing into fast tech. Just working with our first 100 gas here, being as efficient as possible. Meanwhile, across the map, Classic is going to be opening up Stargate. Is going for that Stargate opener. Based on the rally, should be the Oracle first, but we'll keep an eye on Classic to see if he deviates and if he goes for the tried and true Void Ray opener or Phoenix opener. She was known for many months. As the Adept is shading across the map. Is going to be shading out. There's that first Oracle in production as we speak. So once again, going to be an Oracle opener here at a Classic. Adept, we shouldn't be committing to any of these shades yet. We should be waiting for the second Adept to get across the map. Again, 2 Adepts do one-shot workers, so they will pose a threat to the mineral line of DRG. It's going to be on the Zerg player to keep up with those Adepts. For the time being, we have 1 queen in the main. We have 2 queens here at the natural. Adepts, they will try to get into that mineral line, but Lings are here to stop them. Good target firing here by DRG. Gets 1. Uh-oh. Does get a kill on 1 Adept. That does mean that he can counter-attack. Yeah, he's moving out across the map, and he can delay the 3rd. Speaking of, Classic in the midst of establishing that 3rd base. But without the Adepts, then it's going to be that much more vulnerable. Lings, they have arrived, and they try to find that probe. They will come across it. The probe gets found out, and we will get a kill. Good pick off there by DRG. Does delay the expansion. Classic sending out a 2nd probe. But the Lings are here. The Lings, they have arrived. They dive on top of the worker, and we delay the 3rd base once again, even longer. And this is the danger of losing your first Adept like that. If you lose your Adepts, you lose map control. If you lose map control, you lose your 3rd. And we have a 3rd probe coming in. Finally, we can throw down our Nexus. Meanwhile, across the map, Oracle comes in. We do get a stasis. We do get 2 probes. Sorry, 2 drones. Not too bad. Do manage to get some damage. DRG still has to take these Oracles seriously. Is in position behind this. We do have a Forge, a Twilight Council +1, and Blink should be on the horizon. Getting into our 4 gateway explosion. 6 gates in total. Classic going for the same build. Same build 2 games in a row. This time, hopefully, he can actually get into his Link Stalkers. As the Oracle does manage to slip in before the Spore finishes. 3 drones go down. Not a bad start here for Classic. Gets 3 workers. Does survive with the Oracle. Can live to fight another day. And this time DRG, instead of going for the Bailey Nest, is going for a Roach Warren. So a much more standard opener here from DRG. Much more standard follow-up. Is going for Roach Ravager. And this should be for +1 range as well on that E-Ray Chamber. Which means Classic can get into his game. He can actually get into his game here. Tumors are going to be focused down. Classic pulling back. Plus one and Blinker on the way, and they will finish. As DRG is getting into a more passive defensive game. Classic doing well, laying the creep thread, focusing down those tumors. Well, melee is on the way, not range. Interesting. So it's still going to be Ling Bane Roach Ravager. We're not committing to just pure Roach Ravager or anything like that. Do have a safety amount of roaches on the way. DRG has successfully joined up to 75, working on that 4th base. And we see another reason why we didn't invest into range. That is a Spire. Spire is on the way. That is what we're spending our gas on. We're going to be banking up here to go into a Muta switch. Now, Mutas can be devastating in this matchup. We've seen time and time again, if the Spire goes unscouted, and if the Protoss player is not ready for Mutas, then they will kill workers in these middle lines, they will get damage done, and they can snowball out of control. It can be devastating what Mutas can do. Only if they go unscouted. And even before that, Classic is in the face of DRG. We're pushing in. Blink is done. There are Oracles to support. Classic. Oh my god, no fear. He dives on top of the roaches. Picks up no Lord, gets a roach. At the same time, we'd have to say shade into the mineral line, and damage is being done. Yeah, DRG, his attention is being pulled apart. We got 4 drone kills here at the 3rd. Meanwhile, the army is being kept busy. DRG is banking up gas. He is banking up gas. He is banking up minerals. The Spire is now done. DRG is not supply blocked. And where are the mutas? There they are. 11 mutas being made at a time. And Classic, I'm a little bit concerned for him. There is a shield battery here. Oh, there's a cannon here at the 4th. There's a shield battery at the 3rd. The Natural in the main base looking very exposed. But he's being hyper aggressive with these Stalkers. As DRG is going to be moving out with his mutas, Classic is moving in with his Stalkers. And can DRG hold? The Queens! Queens are exposed. 1 Queen goes down. The mutas are being revealed. Yeah, Classic, he is aware of them. Does push on forward. Good blinks here against the Lings. Going to be cleaning so many of them up. As Classic, as long as his blinks are good, he can break through DRG. He invested so much into his mutas. The mutas, they are getting across the map, but at the same time, can he hold on? He cannot. The roaches, they're falling one after the other. The boys are being pulled. And Classic is barely losing anything. 4 Stalkers for 15 roaches. We chase down the Queens. The mutas are getting damage done, but Classic, he doesn't care. We blink on top of the army. Focus down the Queens, focus down the Ravagers. Classic is very committed with this. He's very all in. Boys are being pulled. But there just is not enough Zerg. The Oracles, they go ham on the Lings. Reinforcements are on the way. Can we survive? Can DRG hold on? So far, it looks like we cannot. He is broken. The mutas, they wreak havoc across the map. But Classic, he snowballs out of control. GG gets called. He barely breaks through. He ties up the series 1-1. GG. Oh, that was actually a pretty close game. Again, the mutas were doing so much. We didn't actually see them on screen, but you could see the kill count on the left-hand side. You could see how many probes were dying to those mutas. They were doing so much damage. But Classic, he knew what he needed to do. He knew that as long as he could get on top of those roaches, break through the Ravagers, as long as he could break the ground army, he would win that game. It was basically a base trade between the players, and Classic came out on top. And with that, we are tied up. We're tied up 1-1. We're going to the ace match. It's such a shame. It's such a shame that these qualifying matches are best of 3s. I understand that it's a lot of matches and they want to get through them as quickly as possible when it comes to, you know, Afrika and the organizers of GSL. I would love to see more between these two, but alas, one more game is all we have. And we're loading in to Oceanborn. We are loading in. here we go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Zerg player being forced into the ace match. Can he bring it back? Or is this where his story does end in the GSL qualifiers? We have our red Zerg player. It is DRG. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player. The blue Protoss representing Twisted Minds, forcing the ace match, fighting back. He is one of the best Protoss players in South Korea. He deserves to be in GSL, but can he make it? It is Classic. The Twisted Minds. Oh boy. Here we go. Now, we've seen the same build from Classic 2 games in a row. It's been a Stargate opener into triple Oracle, into a third base, into +1 Blink Stalkers, into 6 gate +1 Blink Stalkers, game after game so far. Been the same playstyle. Will we see it again in game 3? Meanwhile, DRG has been varying it up. And I bring this up because Oceanborn is a pretty good map for Roach-based all-ins. If DRG wanted to cut workers, if you wanted to go for a Queen Walker across the map, for a Nidus across the map, a German Taxi even, a Ling Bane, a Queen all-in, there's a lot of aggressive options available on Oceanborn. The reason for this is because this third base is very exposed. There's no point of elevation here, and the entry point to the third is basically at the halfway mark. Here, halfway across the map, this is the ramp leading into the same kind of point of elevation of the third. And here at the third base, it's wide open. It's a large entry point. It's very, very exposed and very vulnerable to these Queen-based all-ins. So we have seen that time and time again here by Zerg players. Will we see it here from DRG? I'm sure he's tempted. I'm sure the Classic is aware of the potential for this as well. So we'll see. We'll see if DRG does embrace the aggression. He already did it in game 1. He was already able to find some success. But a lot of that was because he kept it hidden from Classic. Ooh, as a very interesting position for that second pylon. Interesting. I'm curious. Okay, so the Stargate is thrown down here on the right-hand side of the natural. Unlikely to be scouted because typically the tech would be in the main. This is curious because this could still be an Oracle, but I wonder if we're going to be having some fun here and going for something a little bit different. We'll keep it out of the Stargate. We'll see if we go for a Void Ray or not. For now, Classic getting across the map. Moving out with his Adept. Does move out, is going to be threatening a Shade. As we did mention, as we saw in game number 2, you have to be very careful with his Adept. You cannot lose it, otherwise DRG will punish you and will delay that third base for as long as he can. These early game Adepts, they do have value here. They do have a place when it comes to expanding and taking the third. The Adept will pull back. And it is going to be the Oracle. It is going to be an Oracle first here. Now, because of its position, it does technically get to the third base a lot faster. The rush distance by air is shorter here for Classic. So it is more efficient. An interesting position nonetheless. But it is still just Oracle opener. No Void Rays. So Oracle opener here. The Oracle heads towards that third. Queens are in position. And we ignore the Queen. We focus down 3 of those drones. Or did we overextend as we take a lot of hits and we barely do escape? Barely the Oracle does survive. That was a bold move at a Classic. Behind this, we're taking our third base. Adept is in position to defend. And do you see what I see? I see a Twilight Council. I see a Robo. I do not see a Forge. Uh-oh. No Forge inside. This looks quite aggressive from Classic. The lack of Forge tells us that we're not really thinking further ahead. We're not working towards the mid game. There's the Gateway Explosion. Is this Glaive Adepts? Oh my god. A lot of gases are being taken. Sorry, a lot of gateways are being thrown down. We are still on 2 gases. That's going to be 6 gates. It's a 2-base all-in. It's a 2-base charge all-in. Not Glaives. It's going to be charge ult instead. This third base, essentially a fake. A fake third base here from Classic. That's going to be an 8-gate all-in here from our Protoss. You can see here, pulling the boys, maynarding over. These probes are the gas mining probes. 0 gas here in the main base is being mined. They are maynarded over towards the third base to make it look like he's droning, to make it look like he's probing. Uh-oh, and DRG has no idea what's going on. He is happily droning. Even if he scouts the third base, it's not going to be enough. He's going to see workers. He's going to see workers. He's going to be seeing saturation. Revelation here on the army. Again, we will at least have roaches to defend. That is true. But we're going to have a lot of zealots. The Ling does confirm the zealots. Big scout. We do get eyes on the army. DRG, spine crawlers. Throwing down as many spine crawlers as he can. He now knows that the all-in is coming. He has seen enough. He has pieces together. But he has very little time to react, as Classic is on the way. GG trying to set up here, back at home. We have still not pulled back into gas, by the way. We're not transitioning out of this. 0 gas income for Classic. And how many zealots do we have? At 20 zealots coming in from Classic. Where are the roaches? 7 roaches on the way. DRG pulling back here, trying to minimize any kind of service area. Does pull back to the mineral line. Spine crawlers are finishing up. Roaches are arriving. Can the queens hold on? Another massive warp in here in the face of DRG. And the queens, they're being shut down one after the other. Classic, he has broken the third base. Roaches, they're pulling back to the natural. But the massive stasis trap, it does go off. The roaches get caught out. And we're not done. We're pushing into the natural base as well. It looks like Classic, he has done another massive warp in. And GG gets caught, and Classic qualifies for GSL. GG. GG, well played. A late scout from DRG, a delayed reaction, did throw down spine crawlers. He was situated in the mineral line to reduce that service area, but it wasn't enough. The sea of Zeld snowballed out of control. We had roaches on the way, but they arrived too little too late. Again, if those roaches arrived a couple of seconds sooner, just a couple of seconds sooner, then suddenly the roaches, they can buffer for the queens. And if they're suddenly in front of the queens, we can transfuse, we can buy time, we have extra DPS, the queens survive, which means the prism can't be as aggressive, and the prism has to be more further back to warp in. It can't be in the face of the Zerg. Everything changes if the roaches come out in time. But alas, Classic, he was able to hit DRG before he could amass those roaches. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Classic as he does qualify for GSL. My condolences to DRG. He had a good showing here. He had a solid game 1. Alas, Classic able to pull off the all-in here. I see the chat. Classic, he's an animal. He is. You have to be an animal to play Protoss, though. I mean, again, you have a lot of tech available to you. You can't be afraid to all-in. You can't be afraid to just cut workers and just cut gas mining and just send it, man. Just send it. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Classic, as both Classic and Maru have made it out of Group A. They have both qualified. And we can take a moment here to go over our matches. For the night. Okay.